We're going to be learning about height and how it's shown on a map. The land around us is seldom flat, and there's always differences in the height and differences in the slope. Sometimes slopes are gentle and sometimes they're steep. There may be hills and mountains and valleys of areas that are very different in level. The word we use to describe this is called relief. There are three main ways that we see relief and height shown on a map, two of which of those ways are shown in the map in front of us. If we look carefully, we can see on the map the contour lines. These are brown lines that join up areas of equal height. They also have the number in meters above sea level on each of the lines. The contour lines are usually a dark brown colour, but sometimes can be shown in other colours depending on the map. If you trace your finger along the line, you should normally find the height marked on them. Sometimes you'll have to go to the contour above or below to get the height. The closer the contour lines are, the steeper the land, and the further apart they are, the more of a slope or the flatter the land should be. The second way we can see height measured on a map is a spot height, and you can see this by looking at the numbers, and normally there will be a dot in front of it. The spot height in this part of the map here has a number, 50 for the number of the height, and also has a blue triangulation pillar with a blue dot inside. The spot heights give the exact height of a point on a map, and they are shown by a blue or a black dot. The number given is the height in meters above sea level, and sometimes these are drawn inside a triangle which is blue with a dot. The third way in which we can see height on a map is layer colouring. In this map in front of us now, you can see the Pennine Hills. These are shown in various different colours, from a pale yellow to a darker brown or orange. On this map, these mountains therefore at their peak would be over 500 metres above sea level. However, in the yellow, as you can see, they are slightly lower in height and between 200 and 500 metres. The darker green, which resembles below 100 metres, is shown over in section B in the Wash in England. Then, as you might be able to see down in the lower lying areas of southern England, the difference between the yellow, the darker green and the lighter green. And the lighter green resembles 100 to 200 metres above sea level. You can look at these three methods here in our book. So spot heights, individual dots, layer colouring, contour lines, lines of equal number of height in metres. Now we're going to look at how to construct a cross-section using contour lines. A cross-section is an imaginary slice through the landscape. It's very helpful in being able to visualise what a landscape actually looks like, and it is one of the most important mapwork skills employed by a geographer. First of all, you need to place the straight edge of a piece of paper alongside a chosen cross-section. You're going to need to use a piece of paper, a sharp pencil and a ruler and eraser. So if I take my pencil and my piece of paper, just a small strip of paper. My ruler I'll use later. I take my cross section where my contour lines are, so I look at the contour lines on the map. This particular map goes from 52 all the way down to 10 on the contours, but we know it's probably lower by the sea. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the part that I feel I can place along the chosen cross section. So I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to mark each contour line. I'm also going to mark the point where the triangulation pillar is. Now on this map, as it's slightly sideways, I'm going to write in the number in meters above sea level at each point. Sometimes you might have to move the paper to see that. I've traced around with my finger to find 30 on there, and again to find 20 and 10. Okay, and when you're done, you should have a piece of paper that has the distance in meters between each, the height in meters between each of the contours drawn out. So you can mark the start and finish of your section if you wish, like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can draw this onto a graph. So take a piece of graph paper. Now when using a graph, there are several things that I like to do always first. So I always like to start at least one square in and one square up, which will be there. So I mark that with a point. And then what I'm going to do is look back at my paper. Now I can see that my highest point is 52 and my lowest point is 10. So I know on my axis in height above meters I'm going to need to include that whole range of numbers. So I'm going to draw out my axis now. So if I'm going to use one square as 10 meters, so that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and I'm going to go up to 60 just to make sure I've got enough, as 52 is my highest point on the map. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece of paper and I'm going to line it up along the bottom to work out just how far along my cross section is going to need to be. I'm going to mark that point there. Then I'll take my piece of paper away and I'm going to draw my bottom axis here. Okay, now very simply this is what I need to do next. So I'm going to line up my paper along the bottom. I'm going to take a pen and I'm going to draw on right on my axis. So I'm going to go 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters, 40 meters, 50 meters, 60 meters. And that's the height in meters. Okay, and now I'm going to make a mark with my pencil on each one of the, where each one lies. So 10 meters would mean I do a cross there. 20 meters means I would do a cross there. Then 30 meters, next point there. Then 40 meters takes me to there. And then very shortly afterwards 50 50 metres takes me there, then 52 metres takes me ever so slightly up a couple of squares there, then back to 50, and then over here to 40 metres, it's there, then back down to 30 there, and then to 20, which will take me to here, and then very finally to 10, which takes me to there. Now you don't need to use a ruler, you can just join them up with your hand. Okay, so freehand I just join each of the crosses together. Now what you should see is I am drawing a cross section now of the contours. The cross section is a slice through the landscape. So if you look at the diagram, you should be able to see that after I've joined all the points up, and you can check against the accuracy against your map and try to make the vertical scale obviously up here as realistic as possible, so you don't exaggerate it so it's totally unreal. Make sure that you've obviously labelled the features on there. So if I want to label features, I would label my steeper and my more shallow areas. So this is a steep slope on this side, so I might add that one on there. This is a more gentle slope, so I can add that on here. Now you might want to add here, on here, highest point, 52 metres. You might want to add the lowest point, which we said was 10 metres. Your cross section should resemble like a side view, like a slice through the landscape. Okay, now if I go over mine with pen now, you'll be able to see what I mean by that. Okay, so that should be the way my map looked from above, from the side. So I go back to my contour map, this map here, you can see it from above. Imagine we're looking down on it in layers. That is what my cross section of the landscape, my slice through the landscape, looks like on the map, and then in real life as a slice through, that's what it should look like from the side. Now last but not least, you should always add a title to a graph, so I'm going to call this graph to show a cross section of the landscape in map B. And then don't forget to underline your graph using a ruler. Okay, and then that should look like this.